Hello and welcome to the very first tutorial of Java Games programming. In this tutorial, we'll start off with the traditional Hello World program. We'll play around with a few variable types. We'll go over conditionals such as if statements, and we'll make our very first game, odds and evens. So let's get started. To get started with our very first program, we need to open up a text editor. I personally like to use Notepad++. Now, I know some developers out there, they want to jump right into an integrated development environment, an IDE such as Eclipse, but I believe it's important to get started with some basic idea first and then jump into these stronger programs. So eventually we will move into Eclipse, but for now we are working with just Notepad++. So our first program, Hello World. Oops. It's only 5 lines, but it's fairly straightforward. Now what we want to do is save this file. So trying to find out where we're going. So Java Games Programming here. And an important thing here is to name the file same as our class name. So it's Hello World, and then we add .java at the end. Okay. To run it, we need to open up command prompt, navigate to where we are, and just to show you, we have the file right here, hello world.java. To compile, we do javac hello world.java, and what this does is gives us the .class file. Now we can actually run this. To do this, we do java hello world. Now notice the two differences here. When we were compiling, we had javac here, but when we are running, we just have Java. Secondly, when we were compiling, we had the whole file name, so hello world.java, but when we're running, we just write hello world. Press enter, and then this gives us the message we wrote, hello world. We can actually change this to something else. Welcome to Java Games Programming. Save it again. Now, if we run the program again, we get the original message, hello world. And that's because we haven't compiled it yet. So let's go back and compile our program and run it again. And we get the new message, welcome to Java Games Programming. Since Java is a statically typed language, we get to work with typed variables. We have variable types such as int, which represent integers, chars, which represent characters, strings, which represent strings of characters or text. Then we have float, long, double, which represent other numeric values, and we have booleans, which represent true or false. Now to work with an integer, we work in the following way. We do the variable type, so in this case int, we give it a name, so let's just call it num_a as in number a, and then we assign it some values, 5. We can declare multiple variables of the same type, so int num_b equals 10. Now just make sure that we have different names for each of these variables, otherwise it causes issues. num_c, and now we can even do arithmetic, so num_a plus num_b, and we can print out this value to see if things are actually working properly. Okay, so once again, we've saved it. We go back to our command prompt, compile again, and now we run. And we see the value of num_c is 15, which is correct, 5 plus 10. We can change the values here. So for instance, change this 10 to another, to an 8. Save it once again. Compile it. And run it. We get 13. If statements are an important component of programming. They allow us to do flow control. Now, the way an if statement works in Java is as follows. We write the keyword if, and then within parentheses we give in a true or false condition. So in our case, let's give it a statement like num_c is equal to 13. So notice the double equal sign for comparison. If you use a single equal sign, it's assignment. And now we want to give it some code that would execute if this condition is true. So when we know that num_c is equal to 13, we can have a printout statement saying that num_c is equal to 13. Now let's say we save it again, compile it, run it, and we have our 3 print statements. So we have the 3 print statements up here, and then we have the equivalent here. num_c is equal to 13 is also being printed. Now if this is not the case, so for example if I change this 8 to a 10, now we know that num_c is not going to be 13, so this conditional is not satisfied here. We compile again, we run again, and our condition or our conditioned statement is not printed. Now we can extend an if statement using the else clause, so just using the keyword else, and we give it some code to execute if the above condition is not satisfied. So we say num_c is not equal to 13. Now what's happening here is if num_c is equivalent to 13, then this particular statement is printed. Otherwise, this other statement is printed. Now let's go back to our command prompt, compile once again, run once again, and we have our statement num_c is not equal to 13, and that's because num_c is equal to 15. So let's get started with the very first game, odds and evens. Now I realize calling odds and evens a game is quite a bit of a stretch, but based on what we've done so far, there's only so much things we can do. So to get started, let's start up a new file because we don't want to just continue in the same code. We create another class, call it odds evens. Now I realize these two statements may be strange at this moment, but in a few tutorials we will go over exactly what's going on here. But for now, just accept them as is. And the way an odds and evens game is going to work is we're going to take 2 numeric values, and if their sum adds up to an even number, we say that the evens win, otherwise the odds win. So to do this, we need 3 integer values, so num_a, num_b, and then their sum. Now what values are we going to assign to num_a and b? I have these 2 d20s here. I'm just going to roll them and assign the values, whatever shows up. So we have num_a is equal to 10, and num_b is equal to 11. Now, if we recall our high school mathematics, we know that if a number is even, it's evenly divisible by 2. Or when we divide it by 2, the remainder is 0. So we can use another if statement. We say if sum modulus 2 is equivalent to 0, and we say that the evens win. Otherwise, or else, the odds win. Okay, so once again, we have to save it, and our class name and our file name have to be the same. So odds evens.java. We go back to our command prompt. Kind of move that up here. And then just to see the directory, we have odds evens.java here. Compile it. And then we run. And in this case, odds win because 10 plus 11 is 21, which is odd. Let's try it again. See a more interesting result. Okay, so we have num A is equivalent to 11, and num B is equal to 5. Save this again. Compile once again, and run once again. So in this case, the evens win because 11 plus 5 is equal to 16. Now I know this is quite simplistic. In our next tutorials, we'll go over for loops so that we can keep the game running for a certain amount of time or until a certain condition is met. And we will also go over how to take input from the user. So instead of having to hard code these values as we have done it here, we can actually take it in from command line. So once again, this has been Zan from Zan's Gaming and Java Games Programming. See you next time.